I'm just looking at all your beautiful faces, and I'm just taking out my self view. Okay. So I'm really glad to be here. Let's go to gallery. Okay, now I'm feeling more here with you. I can see all your beautiful faces, and I'm very glad to be here. Let's start the way I began with the community at Neshev. Moda ani, grateful am I to be here. Grateful am I to the source of all, to presence, for allowing and sustaining me to arrive at this moment here with you, sweet people. Grateful am I to the ancestors of the lands where each of us is located, and to their descendants who are stewards of these lands. Grateful am I for our ancestors, those of our bloodlines and those of our chosen lines. And I want to welcome any benevolent ancestors who are joining us now. I'm on the highway heading home to my family for Shabbat. The traffic is so bad, I'm not going to make it in time. I call my parents, I'm in tears. And my mom says, when you leave on a journey, you never know what's going to happen. And this is her telling me to sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. This week's Torah portion, Lech Lecha, I'm going to guess many people have heard teachings over the last 4 days. So since I'm at the end of the week, I'll just do a little recap for those of you who perhaps weren't here the last 4 days. The Parsha is Lech Lecha. It's the third in the book of Genesis. Lech Lecha me'artzecha u'mebeit boladetecha. God says to Abram, leave your home, leave the land that you know, leave the family you know, leave everything you know, where you grew up, and go to a place that you don't know that I'm going to show you. Areka, that I'm going to show you. So, what does that even mean? It's a direction, I think, more than an invitation. And Abram then very courageously picks up everything to go on this journey. A journey which is unknown. I've been thinking about him a lot this week, about the courage it takes to trust that the journeys go unfold, to trust that we'll arrive somewhere and it'll continue also, the journey will continue. About this parsha, Netivot Shalom, the Slonomer Rebbe writes, go for yourself, go to your purpose, to what you are supposed to do to improve this world. And he goes on to say that no amount of praying or Torah study or doing good deeds even sort of will match up to completing your purpose. That when you get to heaven, you're going to be asked, you will have needed to complete your purpose. And it makes me think that every being, every living thing has its own song. And if you don't actually, our own unique song, if you don't sing that song, then the symphony is not complete. Okay. So we set out on a journey to unknown places, following the call, trusting our purpose to reveal itself, showing up and taking the risk. Now, my question is about the very beginning. How does Abram hear the call? How do we hear the call? How do we know? How do we know what the call is? How do we discern what's other things and what's a call? How do we prepare ourselves to be able to hear the call to our purpose? I think it's about the quality of our listening. We listen, and this is our practice. We listen, we notice, we slow down and get quiet, and we listen. So let's do that. Let's settle in. So let's settle in. Knowing that we don't know how these next moments will unfold. Even if we've sat in the same posture or arrived to the same posture many times, even if we return to the same anchor, no two moments will ever be alike. No two breaths will ever be the same. We don't know how the next moment will unfold. And then we listen. From this place where our seat is heavy on the seat and our feet are heavy on the floor, supported. A chin that's ever so slightly dropped so that we are humbled with a soft heart, softening heart. We're going to listen. Without grasping or reaching. Let's do this lightly, with a light touch. Perhaps listening on the outside is helpful first. And then listening to the inside. Maybe they're the same thing for you. Settling in and listening, and we'll sit together and I will ring the bell to complete our sip. Blessings for your practice. Martin Buber writes, all journeys have secret destinations of which the traveler is unaware. Thank you for your kind and generous attention. We are now Harry's going to post Kadisha Tom, the mourner's Kaddish. And I don't know if we do this here, but I know in the LGBTQ, we all unmuted so that we had a holy chaos, which feels really right for us here. So I'd like to invite you, as is your practice for those who are reciting Mourner's Kaddish, to rise as you're able, in body or in spirit, and we'll recite Mourner's Kaddish together. Thanks, Harry.
Kadash Merabah Elma Devra Hirute Viamlik Malute Hayahon Uviomeho Uvihe Yakobi Israel Agalat Zmakri Vimru Heshme Rabam Avram Shmam Shabak Vidbar Viraman Vietnase Vidhadar Vietale Vietala Sharbrahu Elam Kol Birhata Bishurata Tushbahata V'Nechata Da'amiram Be'alma
Belfort Israel, Amen. Oshe Shalom Bimamo, Uja, Say Shalom, Lina Belfort Israel, Oh, Veit, I Bali,
Amen.
May the one who brings comfort bring comfort now to all those who are mourning here and everywhere.
Amen. And thank you so much, Aviva, for that beautiful and gentle teaching and practice. And thank you to everyone for being a part of this community of practice. It's really a gift to be together in this way on such a regular basis. So for anyone who needs to leave now, we send you with blessings for a Shabbat Shalom. And all are also welcome to stay for about 15 minutes now for an optional period of Q&A, or as we like to say sometimes here at IJS, Q&R, questions and response. We don't promise to have answers, but if you'd like to ask any questions about today's teaching and practice, you can write your question in the chat box and just put the word question in all caps so that we can make sure to see it. And you're also just welcome to share any reflections about how that was for you, anything that arose for you in your sit today. If you'd like to share your reflections in the chat box, you're welcome to as well.
At Neshev, we call this time the triple Q, questions, queries, and quandaries, reflections on practice. And we have a community member who's super cool, who he unmutes and he does like a little intro song, boo-da-da-doo-ba-doo, or whatever it is. And then we say the triple Q.
The triple Q, I like that. It's another good way.
Mir, I don't know if you saw this, Rebecca, but Mir said wrote a beautiful John Steinbeck quote.
Mm-hmm.
We don't take a trip takes us.
Beautiful. Yeah. Aviva, thank you so much. I think that this thing around the unknowability of really where a journey will lead and the kind of ultimate unknowability of life is such a huge part of this Lech Lecha Parsha, and also such a huge part of, I think, what we're all feeling on some level in the world right now, just in a time of so much rapid change and evolution on so many levels. And I was really struck today by your highlighting the place of following one's purpose as part of what is calling us forward on that journey. And, I think it's such a gift in one's life, both to have a sense of what one's purpose is and also to have the opportunity to follow that. And I'm curious if you'd be open to speaking a little bit more about that. I don't take it for granted, I guess, in a world where there is so much noise and there are so many voices coming from so many places telling us what to do with our lives, what to prioritize, what that purpose might be. How do we really touch into and distinguish that true sense of purpose from all the other kinds of impulses that might be guiding us, or voices that might be masquerading as a deeper calling? Small question.
Yeah. I was thinking last night, I was teaching Torah through a mindfulness lens. This beautiful group at Tzedek, and so the question went around, what is your experience? We called it hearing the call. Okay, what is your experience of hearing this call? And somebody said, I feel it in my body.
Mm.
So she said, when it's like me, well, deciding actually isn't wrong. Deciding could be discerning. But when I'm sort of thinking it through, is this the call? Is this the call? I could be this, it could be that. She said, I can recognize it because it doesn't, I can't feel it in my body. I don't have a feeling about it resonating or landing, whatever language might resonate with you. But when it is, I feel it in my body, like it vibrates.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people speak about a knowing. And I feel like the few times, I have two distinct times in my life where I really asked to know, like to just tell me what is wanted of me.
Mm-hmm.
And in the humility that came from that, where I had to completely give myself over to hear, it felt very clear. The answers felt very clear. It's not like I heard God's voice and God spoke to me and said, you should, but my inner voice, which I feel is also God, was very clear. I felt it. The understanding was very clear. I find it harder with all the noise.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually said to the group last night, I've been thinking, when was the last time I had that experience? I feel like it's been a while. And when I ask now, I feel like it's harder to settle in.
Mm.
And I don't know if it's harder to hear, but I had that strange thought, like there was a time in Torah where there was direct transmission. And then there was a time where that became not the case. So I thought maybe that first part of my life, I got direct transmissions. And no, I don't believe it. I think it's really, as I said, about the quality of listening when we're able to settle in.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it comes like, this is your purpose. I think maybe it comes in waves of knowing through the clutter of the mind's machinations.
Yeah.
I was just thinking maybe to take a quick peek. That was a very long answer. I want to make space for other people to ask questions. I have the text from Nitivot Shalom right here.
Yeah, please share.
Yeah, I just thought it might be. Go for yourself, he writes. Everything a person encounters in his spiritual and material life, the bad and the good, is given to them so that they will correct their purpose in life. Maybe course, head on the course. Therefore, the verse says, go to yourself, to your purpose, and to what you are supposed to improve in this world. So if a Jewish person learns Torah and prays and does good deeds, but does not fill the purpose for which they are placed in this world, then after they pass away and go up to heaven, they will be asked, what did you do in this world? You did not fulfill the main thing, which was your purpose in this world. This is the instruction given to all of the Jewish people, the descendants of Abraham. Go for yourself. Go and reach the correction of your personal soul. I would say, hear the direction. And achieve the purpose intended just for you. The Torah chooses the word go to tell that this is our purpose, to go and progress constantly toward our purpose in life. And I love this because he points out that go has movement in it. Different perhaps than all of our texts that came just before Rosh Hashanah about returning. This has really movement forward.
Yeah, it's interesting how that comes on the heels of the returning, and then there's the going forth. It actually makes sense from a Jewish spiritual perspective. There's so much of the ebbing and flowing, the Ratzova show, the running and returning, the descending and ascending, and that kind of back and forth movement. Yeah. Thank you, Aviva. It's so rich, this question of what it really means to follow one's purpose. And I love this comment from Nancy here, who says, maybe my purpose is not what I do, but who I am. And I think for myself and my journey, I've also had a similar contemplation that my purpose isn't necessarily what I'm doing, but how I'm doing whatever I'm doing also, right? There can be, sometimes the purpose can be just a quality of energy, the quality of the heart that we bring to whatever is happening for us in our lives. So many different ways to relate to this whole realm of purpose. Cheryl's asking here, can you share the Martin Buber quote again? And can you speak about the distinctions between purpose and destination? And Nelson's also saying, what if it is too difficult to travel? So curious if you could speak to those, Aviva.
Beautiful. I'm just looking for where I just put the Buber quote. I'm glad you asked. All journeys have secret destinations of which the traveler is unaware. Okay, I remember the final part of the question, so I'm going to answer that first and then I'll go backwards.
I can remind you also. Sorry to give you two at once.
No, it's okay. I just want to say something about destination because this portion is so rich. I couldn't decide which thing to teach, but in a little bit, like a couple psukim, a couple verses later, it says that Avraham went in stages south to the Negev. Okay? In stages. I got so excited by that because I think the destination is constantly unfolding. Oh my God, I've arrived. This is it. This loving relationship, this job, this new house. That's it. And then it's like that was a stage. And then we keep, as Netivot Shalom says, we keep moving forward, or we can choose that. I think we're moving even if we don't choose to. We're aging. Life is going to unfold even if we hunker down and we can't get out of bed. There will still be some unfolding moment to moment. So destination, and it was a question about destination as opposed to journey.
Purpose.
Purpose.
The word of the hour.
Yeah, the word, of course, that would make sense. Yeah, purpose. Yeah, those feel different to me. Destination has a sense of landing, and purpose has a sense of something that's guided.
Yeah.
And I loved something that you said, Rebecca, about like the purpose could be not just my purpose is to cure cancer, but my purpose is to love well.
Mhm.
right? Like you pointed to intention and values.
Mhm.
I'm using the word values, I think, but so that's what I would frame that distinction for me.
Mhm.
I'd love to hear, it's Nancy, right? I'd
Um,
love to hear, sorry, excuse my memory. I can blame that on
this was
parent.
from Cheryl,
It's
the
Cheryl,
distinction.
right, Cheryl. Okay, so you could also, I'd love to hear maybe in the chat what the distinction is for you. Okay, there was an earlier part to that. Do you remember, Rebecca?
Well, someone also asked, what if it's too difficult to travel?
Oh, yeah.
And I suppose this question also could be answered on different realms, traveling physically, also just traveling spiritually, right?
Sometimes it's really hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes it's really hard. So I just want to say, I realized that I left out some language, which was we sit and we listen with kindness.
Yeah.
Just listen, kindness.
Right.
Just can be so hard.
Right.
So I turn when I remember, or the people around me remind me, or I hit the bottom so low that I'm asking for help, then I turn the love in, or I let Coda di Dofek Pitrili open my beloved knocks from Song of Songs, or I let the love kind of spill out into me. My beloved, and I bet she's your beloved Rebbe too, Sheila, has said to me many times over the years, when I really have trouble with the traveling, that's when she says, get down on your knees and ask for help.
Mm. Yeah. Thank you. And, I'll just add that I think on the physical level, we talked about this yesterday, actually, with Daily Sit, that I think it's Rabbi Nachman's reading of this, and in general, like more like Hasidic, neo-Hasidic readings of these parshiot are about the inner landscape more than the outer landscape, but that it's a journey to go deep within ourselves, and even then, it can be difficult to move forward sometimes in life. And I just personally appreciate so much the rhythms of Jewish life for this reason, that actually we have built in to our way of moving forward and being in the world, that we get to alternate between being and doing. That maybe the week is that time of kind of moving forward in our work, but then we always get to rest. We always get to stop and rest and just be where we are. And I wonder if, if the calling forward is really coming from that true place that is beyond us and bigger than us, it's probably not going to go anywhere, right? It'll keep knocking. That voice will keep knocking. And at the same time, maybe we never feel fully ready for those really courageous journeys that are calling us forward. And I know there's a lot of teaching also around just like the Israelites leaving Egypt, that they weren't fully ready, and yet they had to just leap right into the sea. And it takes courage, right? So,
My first album was called When I Arrived, You Were Already There. So we could say you were there all along. The journey was happening. I felt I couldn't, but I was journeying the whole time, and you were with me.
and we don't need to go on these really big spiritual journeys alone, right? It's like we all have our individual purpose and calling, and yet I think we also have collective callings and purposes. And especially from a spiritual perspective, and Judaism has a lot about this too. It's like maybe there's a way that we're all here holding a similar mission that we're trying to bring into the world, and really can be together on the journey, which I think can help with the courage as well.
Yeah, we're here together right now.
Yeah.
So great.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, we have about 1 more minute. So Aviva, I'm curious if there's anything coming up for you or lingering for you that you'd like to just leave us with as a ceiling for this teaching and this conversation as we move into Shabbat.
I see that my dear friend Lisa Goldstein is here. If it could be another Lisa Goldstein, but let's say it is. And I want to tell you that I'm taking the course with Lisa. And I have this beautiful chavruta, and it's gorgeous. If you can still sign up for the course, I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful Torah study, looking through the lens of trauma and healing. So that was a part of my learning this week. My mom is here, Burl. Hi, Mom. So that's always an honor. It's great to be with you all, and I want to invite you to join us at Neshev. When the pandemic came, we moved Neshev online, and we've been there ever since. So we sit twice a week, Monday nights and Friday mornings. We have sort of half people from this part of Turtle Island and half people from the United States part of Turtle Island. Thanks, Harry. And over November, we're doing something called November Boost. We have sits now 5 days a week through the month of November, with no teaching the middle 3 days, just bell, sit, bell. And I think, if you're in the Toronto area, then reach out. Even if you're in the country area here, reach out so we can see how we can support you to develop your own Jewish mindfulness community. Thanks, Rebecca. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Harry. Thanks, IGS, for the invitation.
Thank you so much, Aviva. And thank you again to everyone for being here today. Shabbat Shalom to all. May it be a Shabbat of deep listening and hearing that call.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Thanks, Rebecca. Shabbat Shalom.